Am I biased towards Xbox? It's probably a question that you're asking about me or perhaps somebody else in the gaming industry because there's been a lot of coverage about Xbox over the course of the past few weeks and months going into the 9th generation of consoles. It's kind of strange because starting in 2013 and going all the way up until now in 2020, we never really got that much Xbox coverage because quite frankly, until the last 2 years or so, there wasn't really anything to cover that was positive. If you look at the launch of the Xbox One, you saw just this giant mess that had to be cleaned up by Phil Spencer over the last half of the generation, and now the Xbox brand is finally regaining its footing. So I bring up this question because I noticed that in my own coverage on the Jam Pack Report, we've been talking a lot about Xbox. And over on IGN right now, the entire front page is covered in Xbox news. There really isn't much PlayStation 5 to be seen. So, are people biased? Is the gaming media biased towards Xbox? And quite frankly, I think the answer is no. I think the Microsoft is just doing incredibly well. This is not to say that Sony isn't doing well. Going into the next generation, they are still leading ahead of the competition by a very large margin, and especially if you look at the polls that many are putting out on Twitter, you will see a giant skew towards the PlayStation 5 when it comes to what consoles people are saying that they're going to be getting this holiday season. But Microsoft is making some absolutely incredible moves. If you look at the value of Xbox Game Pass, it is completely unprecedented. For $15 a month with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, you get EA Play, you get Xbox Game Pass, and now you see the acquisition of ZeniMax Media and Bethesda, of course, which is under ZeniMax, bringing even more titles to Game Pass Ultimate and Xbox Game Pass for PC, as well as just the basic Xbox Game Pass for consoles. It is mind-blowing to see how far your money goes in the realm of Xbox. Now there are still a lot of uncertainties here, but going into the next generation of consoles, you see two very different marketing strategies coming from PlayStation and coming from Xbox. On the PlayStation side of things, they are promoting themselves as the premium brand, the end-all be-all gaming experience for your home console setup. And to get that premium experience, you will have to pay more for it. You see the cost of big flagship titles and controllers going up, along with other peripherals as well. So, on the Xbox side of things, there has not been an announcement on price increases for first-party games. So when it comes down to it, you could be paying $10 less for Halo Infinite as compared to paying $10 more to play a PlayStation first-party title. Now, with that being said, again, Xbox could shift that. The prices could change going into the next generation. But as it stands right now in September of 2020, that is not the case. Now, on top of that, Microsoft is still providing more value than Sony is providing going into the next generation. A couple of things that come to mind. Of course, Game Pass. Looking at Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, for $15 a month, you get Game Pass for your Xbox console, you get Xbox Game Pass for PC. On top of that, now you have EA Play, which has been folded into the subscription starting this December, and then additionally, you have the acquisition of ZeniMax Media, which is the parent company of Bethesda Softworks. So you will get day and date some of the biggest games this coming generation. All of that for $15 a month. Now, if you want a console on top of that, Xbox All Access is your perfect opportunity. For $25, you can get an Xbox Series S. On top of that, you get Game Pass Ultimate, all for $25 a month for the next 2 years. There is no increased cost, there is no interest on that. It's just a way to buy the console. And you can do the exact same setup with the Xbox Series X. Even when I was in high school, I could afford $35 a month with my crappy McDonald's job. That is how you provide value to the consumer. I have heard that GameStop is going to allow financing plans for a PlayStation 5 alongside the Xbox Series X, so that could be an option if you do want a PlayStation, but on top of that, you could just pay off a credit card as many people normally would. But the fact of the matter is, Sony is not being nearly as consumer-friendly as Microsoft is going into the next generation. They are trying as hard as they can to get as many consoles into the hands of players. And then that brings me to my third point, the pre-order mess that PlayStation had and that Xbox potentially could have later today. Let's not mince words, PlayStation pre-orders were absolute chaos. There's no sense in beating around the bush. The PlayStation 5 event showcased the price and the release date, and supposedly the pre-orders were going to go live the next morning. That's not how it went down. They were up roughly 30 minutes after the event, probably less than that. Everything started with Walmart, and then things began to fall from there, and by roughly midnight, I think the thing was up on Amazon for pre-order. It was a gross way to do a pre-order, and PlayStation was transparent. They did come out on Twitter and say that they took an L on that one, and they will continue to provide PlayStation 5 consoles going forward. But the fact of the matter is, they should never have really had to do that in the first place because pre-orders were fumbled. Now on the Xbox side of things, they took a couple of jabs, of course, as you should, because you have the opportunity to do so. And they were very transparent about when the Xbox Series X and S will go up for pre-order, and this is happening today. Now, of course, we will see how this goes. Probably still going to be something that is chaotic, but at least there is transparency in every major Xbox brand account, and on top of that, Xbox personality within the gaming industry has been incredibly vocal about when you can get your hands on their next gen console. That transparency is a very nice asset for those that are looking to get their hands on the big new hardware. So, looping it around to the original question, am I biased towards Xbox? And in general, is the games media biased towards Xbox? Because again, I have seen a lot of coverage over the course of the past few weeks talking about Xbox, Xbox Game Pass, and the next gen console. Quite frankly, there are people that are biased out there. I don't consider myself to be one of them. However, I'm always looking for the company that is treating consumers well. I am always looking for a company that is providing value and striving to improve. I'm always looking for a company that is looking to be better the next day than they were the day before, and the team at Xbox is absolutely doing that, and they're doing it incredibly well. Going into the next generation, I have more positive emotions for the Xbox brand than I do the PlayStation. I have a more positive perception of where Xbox is going over the course of the next 4 to 5 years than I do of its largest competitor. And that's coming from somebody who is playing mainly on PC. Will I get an Xbox Series X for the living room? Probably at some point down the line, but the fact of the matter is, I look forward more to seeing what Xbox and its incredible studios can create this next generation than I really am for PlayStation, because I know what they're doing. But Xbox, that's a big question mark, because they've invested a lot of money, a lot of time, and they have a lot of promise. Before I wrap this up, I do want to say I adore PlayStation. The PlayStation 4 is my favorite console of all time because of the games that are on it. They are phenomenal. You have, again, God of War, which is just like a love letter to everything that I want in a game, because you don't even know it's a game. On top of that, the narrative in The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2 is just phenomenal. The saga of Joel and Ellie, you can't beat it. On top of that, you have these little games like Ratchet & Clank and Infamous that are just giving more personality to the PlayStation brand. I want them to do well. But there is so much more work to do, and I feel like going into the PlayStation 5, you will be getting a lot of the experiences that you got on PlayStation 4, just sequels. Which, don't get me wrong, that's fine, that's a way to approach it. But I, personally, am more excited to see where Xbox is going, because there's a lot more mystery there. They've invested a lot of money and a lot of time, and they have Xbox Game Studios working on new experiences, where Xbox could be the next big place to play. And that gets me very pumped. But of course, let me know what you think about the next generation of consoles in the comments section down below, and let me know if you do snag an Xbox Series X or S pre-order if you are getting one today, or if you got a PlayStation 5. I would love to hear how your hunt is going. But until next time, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon, and peace.